Welcome to Revolution Against Evolution. I'm your host, Doug Sharp.
I'm your co-host, Richard Gere, with you as well, and we're very excited. We're going to be speaking to Kancherla Sirish. Shirisha, is that how I pronounce it right? From India.
Well, I would like to have you introduce yourself,
That would be good.
Sirish, and talk about yourself and your church family, how you became a Christian and a creation proponent, and also a little bit about the book Revolution Against Evolution and how that influenced you a little bit. This is our new version here.
I have old version.
Yep.
In 2004, at the time you are sent it to me as a gift to me. This is the old version. After that, some internet papers we have sent. These are with me. This helps very much.
Well, we're glad that you've been able to use those materials, and you're a pastor, is that correct? Is that what you do, or are you a science person?
As my profession is a teaching profession, I am a teacher, but at evening times, at night times, I will preach the word of God weekly 4 times or 3 times in a week.
Wow.
Among the churches, believers, among the church believers.
Okay.
And in your district, do you speak mainly English, or is it Telugu, or what is your language that you speak there?
We are use the language of Telugu, local language, vernacular language. Here I will mix that science as a tool to reach the God with the help of Word of God. So by mixing the science through the Bible gives a salvation that I want to preach in church meetings.
How effective has that been? Has it been pretty effective? Has the creation message helped you quite a bit in your preaching or not?
Yes, creation is very important in the preaching. Without Genesis, there is no fundamental bylaw or fundamental laws. We may know through the Genesis. Without Genesis, we cannot know the creation very well.
That's true.
Yeah, if we don't include Genesis and we really negate the message of the gospel.
That's what I want. We find out here. When we went to South Africa, that was a big thing. Even the churches didn't quite realize the implications that if there was no real literal fall of man, Adam and Eve, then either God was either impotent or cruel, and he's neither, and Jesus' message of the cross is really not valid, or it doesn't make any sense if there was not a real fall at some point in time where we were connected to God. We broke that connection was severed, and then Jesus got it back for us. So that's what makes total sense. So I was curious, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, because we have a couple of other friends. One is in South Africa, but he's Indian, and another Jyoti Chakravarti.
Yeah, Jyoti Chakravarti.
Yeah, I get the name. Yeah, and from India. And we've talked to them before, and I've always been curious about the gospel message in the Hindu or the Indian pantheon of gods. Is it difficult to compete with that kind of milieu, if you will, that cultural, where I've heard that sometimes people can accept the Lord, but they'll just put him up on the shelf with a whole bunch of gods, the other gods, you know what I mean, as opposed to Jesus being the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father or God except through him. Is that a very difficult message to get through to people there?
Yes, indeed. In Indian culture, pantheistic way of believing as God is real. Whereas if the circumstances or the things going on at hard times, they will know that Jesus is the real God, because he is the only way, because of he himself submitted for us that message gospel is proclaiming in this area for the for the development of, for the knowing real God as Jesus Christ. Without word of God or Jesus Christ, we never go to the heaven. And that type of message, which is the New Testament giving to the people, along with the Old Testament, Holy Bible, with 66 books, we are distributing among the pantheistic world people.
So you're saying that I mean, we know you're preaching the true word of God. I'm just saying, I just wonder how difficult it would be, or is the people you're talking to, are many of them been believers for a while, been Christians for a while, or are there new converts coming in that have a difficult time assimilating that it seems to be a total different kind of a message. One has lots of gods, one has one God, and that seems to be much different, you know?
Yes, by in this modern world, modern world, the science is diffusing as a god in this pantheistic world. So many are worshipping the techniques or IT industry. These are the idols for this world.
Right.
For this juncture, at this juncture, we want to inculcate it is not a god by the people of godly people. They are introducing, they are developing the science for the glory of God. This type of preaching has been preaching in this area.
Okay. But you're also using science in your teaching to help tell people why creation is the valid way to look at nature and life, as opposed to I don't know, endless reincarnations against, because that's another thing, that the biblical framework is fairly short period of time, and the Hindu tradition, if you will, is very unending eons of time, isn't it? It's almost more conducive for an evolutionary worldview. The Hindu way of thinking, as I understand it. I could be wrong, but that's the way when I read about it, that's what it seems like, that they're much more amenable to unending eons of time, with endless reincarnations and things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yes, according to the Indian philosophy, the era is 1874 crores of years. One era means. That's why the 7 eras, 6 eras are gone. The 7th era is began. Like that, philosophy is going on in this Indian culture. But there is no evidence. There is no witness for that eras.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And that's why we are using carbon dating as a tool for the science, which gives the clear picture of the evidences are fixed within the thousands of years of lifespan. Any argument or any witness are fixed within the thousands of years. The remaining is imagination. That type of tools, that type of way of argument, that type of synthesis, which is real. Lie never becomes as a real. Truth never becomes as a lie. With the help of the witness, with the help of the evidence, we can support what the real creation takes place within the thousands of years, not fixing it the billions of years. Whereas in Indian culture, the life starts with eros, which is nothing but millions of years.
Right.
It's probably wrong. It's near to truth, but it never become as truth.
And the carbon-14 dating methods that we're finding supports the biblical creation model because it has the short half-life.
Yes.
And so to find carbon-14 in diamonds or coal or limestone or anything that's supposed to be by the evolutionary standards millions of years old refutes that logic that shows that it's so old, because it can't be that old. They have to appeal to some sort of contamination. And then they're arguing their own argument because we've already said that the contamination is a problem with the dating methods.
Yeah, contamination is a big part.
And so that is a support for our model with the radioisotope dating. And so we're glad that you are finding that argument useful to talk about the Hindu people. Now, in your district, what percentage would you say you have Christians in your district?
In my area, the percentage is very low. 1.84% of Christians are present in our district. Nearly 5 lakhs people are there. Here, 5 lakhs people are residing in Guntur district, where I am residing in this district, Guntur. Nearly 5 lakhs people. But the percentage of Christianity is 1.84. Very negligible, very small. Most of the people are Hindu people. Nearly 11% of people are Muslim religious people, Islam. Whereas Christians, near to 2%. In 100 people, there is 2 persons are Christians. It's a drastic, dangerous survey because of nearly hundreds of years, 200, 300 years ago, the missionaries, charities are worked here for the propagation of the truth, which is Jesus Christ. But the population not increased because their belief is very strong.
Wow. Why do you think that is? Just because it's so old, or what? Why do you think the belief is so strong in the Hinduism? Why do you think that's so strong?
In Hindu religion, 33 crores of idols are present. 33 crores of angels or gods are there.
You wonder if it's, is there some kind of demonic sway to hold them captive? Or do you think there's some kind of demonic sway to hold them captive to their idols, or not? I'm just curious, you know. Is there something why? Because you were pointing out earlier, the evidence goes to the creationist, which would go to the Christian, and yet they hold on to myths and fables and idols and all kinds of things that really aren't, there's no evidence for it. Like you said, the era is, there's no evidence for this, and yet they hold on to that. It almost seems like well, we know it is. It's a stronger, like there's a spiritual war on here that just keeps them captive to this old way of thinking. Is that what you're saying? Because, yeah, you said the missionaries, they were there 200, 250 years ago, 300. When the British were there, I know they probably had a lot of missionaries coming in, and it didn't really seem to be very effective. Is that correct?
Yes, Rich Gear. Really, it's the Indian people, Hindu religious people are believe that they are the ancients. They are the ancients for the world.
Oh, yeah. I've been doing some study about that. That's the whole idea about the unending eons or the age upon ages. Is there's a certain arrogance of preeminence. In other words, if you are older, you're more important and more valid, and that really a lot of cultures are like not just Hindu people, not just India people. Europe had that same kind of ideas. A lot of those the Middle East, the older cultures were more important than the younger cultures, and so India holds on to this. So that makes some sense to me. You know, that feeling of superiority because you're older, and they hold on to that. Is that what you're saying? Sort of.
Yes, Richigir, yeah, absolutely correct. But here, the Middle East people came to conquer the Indian continent.
So
That is the history. But beyond the history, the Indian people believe beyond the history, there is some era is present. Jambu Dvipa is the oldest name for India. Jambu Dvipa. Jambava, the king Jambava is ruled that world, that soil, Indian soil, Indian area, location. At the time, it is an island, not a continent. After that, the king Bharata came. After Bharata, the history, the evidences came into existence. Before that, there is no existence of evidence. The single paper or any other evidences are not present in this area. That's why that the imagination of, I think, the era of 1874 crores of years is an imagination for the Indian people. I believe that one, because there is no evidences.
Now, tradition says that the disciple of Jesus, Thomas, visited India after Jesus was resurrected, and he became a preacher in India, mostly in the southern part. Is there a tradition of that known in your country?
Yes, the disciple of Jesus Christ, Thomas, came to India. He himself submitted to God, become as the Son of God, like that. As Jesus taking into the submitting, that type of nature, supposed, not supposing, but life, a sacrifice for the people of India. He established the word of God in India. That's why the Christianity is originated in India. Thomas introduced for this continent. According at the time of the traditions in that area, he was opposed by the people, but he showed his love. He showed his love, which he showed by the Jesus Christ. That's why he was persecuted and murdered in Indian continent, where the Chennai area, which is Tamil Nadu, is the state. He was died for the glory of God.
Now, in my new version of the book, you will see that I have made a number of updates, and I want you to. I'll send you a copy of this as well. You already have a copy of it online, but I would send you a new copy by mail, and you will see that I've added a lot of different things. A lot of things when I first published this book, I was speculating on a lot of things, and I did things by hearsay. But since then, we have actually gone and visited a lot of these places and verified them firsthand, and included these new things in the book so that you were able to see this new evidence. And so a lot of things I speculated about first now are more solid in its foundation.
So if you like the evidences before, you're really going to like them this time.
I think, especially in the geology area, we've been able to visit some of these places and see them for ourselves, and verify that what we had read about actually exists there in the flesh. We've seen it ourselves. And so a lot of the things also that we talked about in terms of creation models, they have changed somewhat over the years. There's a lot of new ideas and new evidences and things that Henry M. Morris, the founder of creation science, first proposed. Now they're refining a little bit and narrowing it down to certain theories, like, for example, the catastrophic plate tectonics, the idea that the continents moved and that the fountains of the deep were broken up, and the valleys sank and the mountains rose up. And those things that were described in the Bible now have physical evidence from creation scientists that are very solid, and we've now been able to include that in the Revolution Against Evolution book. So we're hoping that this will be useful to you as a preacher of the gospel in India and a teacher to as evidence for creation, and use it for that purpose.
Yep, to the glory of God.
Well, it's nice talking to you. We have a half-hour TV show, and so our time is up, I'm afraid.
Oh my gosh, that went quick.
But it is really good to see you again. I think I talked to you once by Skype one day, but it is good to talk with you again and to get back in touch with you. And we'll do this again. We are going to set up more Zoom calls in the future, and with other creationists, and we'll invite you to listen in as well on some of these other calls that we do.
It'd be great to see you again, yeah.
Yes, Sharp. It's really my son's name. Given your name Sharp, whatever it, Douglas Sharp. Sharp, that the term, that word, that name given to my son, Daniel Vishal Sharp.
Wow!
That's nice.
I got married in 2006. Before that, Sharp introduced through website, through Henry M. Morris ICR booklet. I connected with rae.org. At the time, Rich Gere and Douglas Sharp both are eventually, very sharply, giving so many papers through internet. That papers I followed, and I was given a Sharp name to my son, Daniel Vishal Sharp. Kancherla Daniel Vishal Sharp.
Wait, his name is Daniel?
His name is Daniel.
That's my son's name.
From the beginning, 2006 onwards, I myself discussing the creation versus evolution debates with her and the RAE chapters through websites. And my wife, Prakashni, she is my wife. She is also innovative things. She is a graduate in education.
Hello.
She is a model making specialist in every corner. Her thoughts are giving a support for my teaching. And also she deals the Sunday school classes
Really?
with so many charts and giving stuff to the kids with many models. She will very curious to prepare models, creation models for the people of church which are present in churches, and their kids are very eagerly waiting for her stories and also innovative method of models. She is my wife, Prakashni.
That's pretty good.
So what is your name again?
Prakashini.
Prakashni?
Yes.
Well, it's very nice to meet you.
Maybe one of these days we'll be able to visit you over there.
Yes, it's happy to see. And already we have talked with Vivian through Zoom call or video call with Sharp and Vivian many more days ago. That's why we are very happy to see Rich Gear and Douglas Sharp. So many times I shared the RAE stuff with my colleagues and students and my relatives also.
Wow.
Those are educated, those who are know the language of English.
We have found a publisher for my book that we can print these one copy at a time. They package it and ship it out for a real good price. And so we're happy that we have that opportunity to be able to do that. So I will be sending you one of these copies when I get a chance.
Yeah. It's in preliminary stage right now.
Signature and your date, 11/11/2004.
2004,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah.
That was 16 years ago.
That was Doug. Is that the second version of it?
Yeah, it was the second version, yeah.
Yep.
So thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time on Revolution Against Evolution.
Bye now.